there's a lot of people who think there's aspects of the universe that humans are incapable of understanding, but I never had that conception, and I've seen what scientists claim what science is, and there's some principles, okay, and one of them is anything and everything is possible to be understood by humans, which contradicts that whole idea of some stuff we are incapable of understanding. Do you have anything to say about that part?
Well, I'm a little bit conflicted about it because the principle, the very idea itself, for example, of thinking about the ultimate aspect of the world that we can understand. For example, something that was formulated in the past few decades in the form of what is known as the theory of everything. Right now, this is out of fashion a little bit. People don't actually pursue that as such, but the idea in principle is showing you that if there are certain aspects of the physical world that can be formulated in some mathematical form, there's nothing that should prevent us, in principle, from being able to attain full knowledge of that understanding of the world. So it seems, in principle, possible. But at the same time, you can think about certain aspects, mainly computational ones, but certain aspects of certain problems that are so hard for us to grasp all at once. So you might think of these things as something that AI would probably help us get a better grasp of, getting that holistic view of what's happening, in addition to understanding the details. And there are certain people who, right now, are trying to explore certain frontiers in scientific knowledge using AI and machine learning and things of that sort to maybe push certain boundaries that we wouldn't have been able to push on our own, or if we wanted to rely on our own abilities, would have taken much longer and might not have been achieved the same way. Yeah, so I think there are two aspects to this that might be conflicting, and it's a little bit hard to say one definitive thing about it. But I'm
Yeah.
actually very optimistic about the possibility of not seeing any kind of end to our understanding.
So
So,
I want to make two clarifications that might push you over to my side.
hmm,
And if not, it's okay. We'll make that another episode and we'll get deeper into Feynman's speech. Okay. Uh, One, what you were describing seemed to be like we might find it difficult because I'm going to say because currently our intuition isn't there yet, isn't trained yet. Okay. So, and the intuition getting trained a little bit more would help that problem get easier. And the second thing you mentioned AI, it's a tool just like a pencil. When we got the pencil, it made us smarter. Meaning, the way you described it was you used the words like there might be a problem that is too, I think you said big for us to understand at one time. Did you say big?
yeah, so it's
With a
possible.
pencil, it's easier to do that versus not a pencil.
Yeah, so
And AI is just another example of that. So
it's that's possible, and so that's what I'm saying, that um you don't know what you don't know, in principle. And so once we get to that edge where you think that, okay, now we have to start really pushing on that particular fundamental problem to get ahead and see where we can go beyond that. Once we get to that point, we probably would have a better sense of what's possible and what's not possible. Although it's really hard to think about a situation where you use the scientific method and then end up with an obstacle that is insurmountable. That's it. It's the very idea of thinking about that is what sort of problem would that be if the world is constructed in that rational sense that can be formulated in mathematical.
What people point to at this point is Gödel's incompleteness theorem,
Yes.
meaning that some problems can't be solved. I don't want to get into that. We're going way off topic if we do that. So maybe we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, that's an yeah. Gödel's theorem is actually one of the more important aspects of what you can say about proofs in particular. We can definitely talk about
Well,
that.
I want to let me say the psychological aspect for a moment. If somebody believes that something that they can't learn it, that becomes a psychological barrier, a self-fulfilling prophecy, they will not learn it. If it's a scientist who ends up using that logic to avoid researching something, it's going to be that self-fulfilling prophecy. But like you said, we don't know what we can't know. That means because maybe it's possible and maybe it's not possible and we don't know, you should try.
Yeah, but I wouldn't probably emphasize the individual aspect of this, because eventually, right now, knowledge is a human endeavor. It's no longer something that you would say, okay, this sage is working on this particular problem, and therefore this particular person is the one who's qualified to crack it, or that this person has some kind of a special knowledge. We're talking about the human species as a whole. And so that's where this whole idea that if one person is not capable of understanding this, that does not mean that the community as a whole, the community of humans as a whole, is not going to be capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So science right now is no longer an individual endeavor. It's something that
So
relies
what we're
on.
talking about now is what are or not the limits of human intelligence, and that's we should leave that to another topic definitely. Let's get into what Feynman explained, and maybe we will get into this by the end of this little speech.